Hey everyone, my name is Gabriel and I'm a black and gray tattoo artist out of San Diego, California, and this is my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a video that's a little bit different for me today and I'm really excited. I'm going to show you the tools that I use throughout my day as a tattoo artist. And I think you might be a little surprised as to which ones are my favorite. So if you're interested in something like this, go ahead and stay tuned. But for right now, let's go ahead and roll that intro. So before we get started, I just want to say that my setup is constantly changing. I love trying out new pieces of gear, but there are definitely some pieces that I can't live without. If you have any pieces of gear that you can't live without or really improve your workflow, please leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to take a look at it and maybe make a video on it in the future. But for right now, let's go ahead and jump right in. So for starters, one of the things that I think is not only just important to me, but is essential on my day-to-day when it comes to just having longevity in my career is having a mobile workstation. I have a stainless steel cart that's very sturdy, and they sell the trays that are a little more flimsy. I prefer not to use those. I think that most people end up not using them because of how flimsy they are, even if they have them. But these types of carts are huge when it comes to comfort and convenience on literally every tattoo that I do. I'll go ahead and link this along with anything else that I put in this video down below in the description. I'm not getting paid for any of these links. This is just me wanting to share information with you. But let's go ahead and get started and see what actually goes on top of my station. So let's get started. I always have paper towels put out in halves, and I always put out more than I need just so I can minimize my breaks. As far as ink caps go, if you watched my last video, you know that I don't use a specific size because I don't count my drops, but this is the size and brand that I tend to use the most. Now for ointment, I always use INKEEZE Purple Glide. I'm a huge fan of it. I haven't had any problems with it as far as consistency goes. To me, it has the perfect texture and also smells really good. As far as machines go, I use the Bishop Rotary Shader and the Bishop Rotary Packer from their wand series. They're great machines, and I'm sure I'll do a much more in-depth video soon enough. When it comes to powering these guys up, I use the Bishop Rotary Battery Pack. It's something that I've been using for a while now, and I honestly can't imagine not having a battery pack. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces of gear, and I think it's essential to making sure that I feel comfortable and free when I'm tattooing. It's so nice to not be tethered to a power supply that is just taking up more space on your station. And by simplifying your station this much, you'll notice a huge difference in your overall workflow. Now, as far as inks go, I use two specific brands and I've been using it for years together. It's gonna be Dynamic and Talons. They do exactly what it is that I need them to do, and there's specific reasons as to why I use those two inks. I did just recently post a video on it, so if that's something you're interested in, taking a look at. I also go over my drop count system and gray wash in general. I'll go ahead and put it in the bio below, or I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But yeah, let's move on. So let's talk about needles, guys. When it comes to needles, I've used so many brands over the years, and I definitely have my favorites. I used Cheyenne for a long time, and I'm a big fan of their needles. I think they make a really high quality product, and it's kind of hard to beat. However, when Bishop Rotary came out with their DaVinci V2 needles, and I gave them a shot, I really fell in love with them instantly. They're such high quality needles, and something about them just works really good with how I work. So I think those are probably my top needles right now. I am, full disclosure, sponsored by Bishop, but it actually wasn't until I actually tried these needles out that I decided to go through with the sponsorship. Bishop has supported me in a lot of ways over the years, and I'm a big fan of them as a company, but it wasn't until I used them for most of my products that I decided to be sponsored by them, because I want to make sure I'm true to something that's going to give me the best quality tattoo. And if Cheyenne was giving me the best quality tattoo, then I'd be still with them, but I'm a huge fan of Bishop Rotary V2 needles. As far as the groupings that I like to use, when it comes to mags, I use a 7, a 13, and a 17. Those are all curved mags, and they're all 12 long taper needles. Those are my favorite setups. However, I will always have a 7 and a 13 for almost every tattoo that I do. The 17 is just for the bigger tattoos. As far as liners go, one of the needles that I can't live without is a 0803. I use it for every single tattoo. I'll either use it for edging or for tight areas of detail that I need to shade with a really small needle. That thing is perfect for that type of work. I highly recommend you guys give that a shot. I think it's probably one of the most essential needles that I use when it comes to my black and gray. I also use a 9-round liner. That thing's amazing for shading, slightly bigger areas of detail that are too small for a mag, and you want maybe even to be a little bit crisper. And one needle that I don't use very often, but I'd say I can't live without in my shop, is a 5 mag. I only pull it out with the small portraits or just portraits that have really tight areas of shading or detail, but having that around is so handy, and it really makes life easier. Instead of trying to get in a bigger needle into a small area and do some tight shading, this works a lot more naturally. Now the 5 mag is a flat needle where the other magnums are curved, so keep that in mind when you're looking for these needles. So the last product that I want to go over, and it might surprise you, but this really is either my favorite or one of the top favorite things that I have in my shop, and that's going to be my Brother Pocket Jet. Having this Pocket Jet has made everything so convenient when it comes to travel or even just working with better quality stencils. I highly recommend it. They're so convenient and they are a little bit pricey, but I think they blow the old school thermofaxes out of the water if you're doing high-end portrait work, that you're printing your stencils from an iPad. Huge. Highly recommend it. Great for conventions, guest spotting, or just travel. That is definitely one of my favorite items. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I really hope that you took something helpful from it. These are great pieces of gear and definitely worth a try. And if I can give you guys any advice or even just one tip, it's gonna be invest in yourself. Try out different machines, try out different needle brands, different inks, anything that you think is gonna help improve your work, it's worth a shot because this job's amazing and we're gonna get whatever we put into it. Also, if you have any other questions, my next video is actually gonna be a Q&A and I'm really looking forward to that. So if you have any questions, whether it's tattoo equipment or techniques or anything like that, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below, even if it's a lifestyle question, and I'll try to answer as many of them as I can for the next video. And if you like today's video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Again, it really helps me know that I'm doing a good job and that you guys are actually liking these videos. I really appreciate the support. I have some cool videos coming up, and if you don't want to miss when they actually release, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That'll keep you up to date. But besides that, I really appreciate you guys' time and watching this video. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.